What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a hoot and a holler, a true banger. Drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video, and also don't forget to follow me on Instagram. What the fuck are you waiting on? I'm looking at you, motherfucker. Links at the top of the description at the GBLN, TheGBLN. Literally, go follow me immediately. This fucking instant. You can come back to this later. Go follow me on Instagram right now. I want 50K bad. I want it now, okay? Thank you all for that in advance. Hey, I really do appreciate you, dude. Send me a little hello DM, dude. Maybe I'll reply to a few of you, you know? But hey, you better smack that fucking follow. But hey, let's dive right into it. So, my gamers, this took place a long time ago, way back in high school, dude, which it feels like it was kind of recent, but when I talk about it every time, I start to feel like an old-ass man, even though I'm only 21, because this shit happened like 5 fucking years ago, dude, or like 4 years, like going on 5 years. This shit happened ages ago, right? But all the way back in high school, some of you guys may remember watching my video titled The Best Guy I've Ever Smoked With. And in that video, I mentioned my friend Jeff, who was such a lightweight that he would just straight up go prone every time we smoked him out. We smoked this guy out on the strongest indica ever, and that's today's video. So, let's dive right into it. So, how this all played out is it was a pretty standard day. I went over to Cody's house, and at this point, Cody's brother was always my main plug. You know, I'd go over to Cody's virtually every day, you know, and if not, I mean, not literally every day, but honestly, probably 5 days out of the week minimum. It was like a job how much I was coming there and shopping, right? So I went over there on this particular day. And I pull up, and they're already smoking a blunt. Cody and his brother are in the garage, and they're smoking a blunt. So I have a seat, and they pass it my way. I smacked this blunt, and I'm like, damn, this is some pack. I remember it so vividly. I loved it, dude. I don't remember exactly how it tasted and everything because it's been years, but I just remember the high. I instantly got smacked. And this was my first smoke of the day because back then I couldn't smoke in my house. I was living with my mom and stuff, you know? So this is my first smoke of the day, but still, this, like a couple hits of the blunt, and I passed it back in a roto, and I was chilling. I was feeling great. So I asked Cody's brother, I'm like, yo, what's in this? Like, I'm trying to grab some of this today. He says, boy, I have something for you. Boy, do I have something for you. And he tells me, he says, you like that Larry OG, right? Now, he knew that Larry OG was my favorite strain, and many of you guys know that Larry OG is one of my favorite strains of all time. It's probably my favorite ever just because of simply the fact of the nostalgia factor of it for me. Back in high school, me and my friends smoked so much of this Larry OG shit, and we loved it. It was such like a sweet, almost like lemony, piney. It was so good. It was so fire. I loved Larry OG. So, when he asked if I liked that, I said, yeah, of course I do. He says, this shit got Larry OG in it. I said, I'm intrigued. Tell me about it. He says Purple Punch is what he's got right now. Now I go, wait a minute, what? Larry OG's not purple. Like, are you sure that's facts? Like, I didn't believe him. So, of course, we hop on the internet and look it up, and lo and behold, Larry OG is actually, believe it or not, a component of Purple Punch. I always knew about Purple Punch, but I never knew what the actual strains were that made it up. And the strains that make it up are actually GDP and Larry OG, which I was not expecting Larry OG to be a part of Purple Punch at all. I was expecting, like, maybe 2 really heavy perp strains. But either way, when I found that out, I was like, yes, give me this shit right now. I want it, dude. And Cody's sitting there, and he's like, dude, you're going to love this fucking weed. You grab like an eighth or something, we'll smoke that shit. So, of course, I drop all the money I had on me, my $40, and I buy a fat little sack of it, right? I got a nice bag. He was like, you know what, I'll pack you fat, I'll get you right. So I think it was like 4-something grams, and this is back in high school, right? Eighths of good weed were not fucking $30. They never have been, and they probably never will be, okay? But eighths of good weed back then were still like $40 to $50. 40 if you knew the plug. But, you know, because we were young, I'd paid 50 for an eighth back then. I had, right? And nowadays, it seems like that's kind of normal for exotic. But back then, it wasn't really like that. You know, I feel like weed went through a period where I was in high school before all these like pre-packaged, pre-bagged exotic strains came around, where the good shit was actually only 40 or 45 an eighth. Now, that's quote-unquote good, air quotes good tier weed. You know, that's not actually the best you can get your hands on. But back then, that actually was kind of the prices for some of the best shit, at least in Illinois, because weed was nowhere near legal yet. We barely even had medical at this point, I think. But back on topic, I grab an eighth of this shit, and Cody and I roll up a blunt. And Cody immediately, he's like, bro, we should call Jeff up for this shit. And I'm like, yes, dude, that's what we need. You know, the night, not gonna lie, started off, it felt a little boring. You know, we were just kind of chilling out, watching Cody's brother play some 2K and, you know, smoking some blunts. But once we got the idea to invite Jeff over, we were like, oh yeah, this is gonna be lit, dude. So we call up Jeff. And for those of you guys who haven't watched that video that I mentioned earlier, Jeff is a good friend of mine, or he was. I haven't talked to him in a long time. But Jeff was a good friend of mine who, it seemed no matter how much weed we'd smoke him out on, his tolerance never changed. Like, this guy would literally lose control every time we got him stoned. Not every time. And I mean, he did get better eventually, but he still always got abnormally high off abnormally small amounts of smoke. So we call him up and we're like, Jeff, dude, get the fuck over here. You're going to get stoned. And Jeff's like, oh, dude, I don't know. I got work tomorrow and shit. And Cody's like, get your ass over here right now. So Jeff folds. He's like, bet. So Jeff comes over, and we had already smoked another blunt of this purple punch. And by the time Jeff got there, I was high as a kite, bro. Cody and I were lit. I remember I was sitting in one of these wheelie chairs in Cody's garage, you know, the little like office chairs, because he had a million of those hoes in his garage. And I remember rolling around the garage, and I leaned so far back that I almost fell out and just ate shit like 3 separate times. Because I kept trying to lean back and get comfy. I was off that good Indica, and I was like, oh, bro, just let me put my feet up. Let me lean it back. And every time I'd almost eat shit. I kept having to try to catch myself. And I didn't really catch myself. I would just kind of like almost fall, and then like either my shoulder or like my foot would pick me up, right? Listen, it was getting hectic off the Indica in this garage, all right? So finally Jeff pulls up. We dap him up. We're like, Jeff, my boy, what's up? It's good to see you. You know, we were always so hyped to smoke with this guy. And he sits down, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, what do you got for me, boys? So I bust out the bag of this purple punch. And listen, compared to the weed I smoke nowadays, of course it's not the craziest purple shit. But back then, this was insane for high school standards, right? Of course, anything purple was going to sell like hotcakes to a high schooler. But this shit was amazing. It wasn't completely purple. It was more like green with like purple in it. You know, the inside portion of it had a nice kind of dark green. And, you know, the exterior, like the tips, you know, and the ends of the, I don't even know the wording for this, just... It was a mixture of green and purple is the best way to put it. And it looked amazing. And I show this to Jeff, and he puts his nose in the bag and smells it. And he's just like, holy fuck, this smells great. And I realized that I was so obsessed with how it looked and the fact that it had the Larry in it that I never even really took the chance to smell it. So I stuffed my nose in the bag, and I'm like, holy shit. You're not kidding, Jeff. That's some fucking fire. We got to smoke this right fucking now, boys. So we roll up 2 more blunts. We had the blunts on deck back in high school. And we spark up our first one, and Cody rolled them both, because of course Cody, he was just the man with the plan when it came to rolling. Whenever we were at the session, he was there. He could always roll the best blunts, and he'd do it quick, so we'd always give him the weed. And he could always make less weed feel like more with his rolling. I don't know how, but back then, we would be smoking like... he could make like a blunt with like a 0.5 in it feel like a gram blunt or more, you know? Like, it's just the way it smoked, he pearled it every time. So we roll up these blunts, and, you know, this was high school. We weren't stuffing them. We put maybe like a 0.8 in each of these blunts, which back then, that got us all stoned. 2 blunts, 3 heads, 0.8 each. Everyone's high, bro. We're all happy. So we put this first blunt in the air, and I remember I spark it, I do the honors, and I pass it over to Jeff. And I look over at Jeff, and I just love to see his face whenever he's smoking. Me and Cody are both just looking at Jeff while he hits this blunt. And this motherfucker taps it, and his eyes go wide immediately. And they start coughing. They start watering off the bat. And he starts coughing, right? He takes 1 hit, and he tries to pass it. And Cody's like, hell no, bro. You're hitting that shit again. Keep that fucking blunt. You're tapping it 2 more times, and then you can pass it, right? A 3-hit P is a pretty fair rule for a more than 2-head roto, in my opinion. So he taps it. He does his coughing, and he taps it. And we're like, hurry up, bro. Come on. You got to hit that fucking blunt and pass it. We're getting stoned out here. So he takes those 2 extra hits, and you could tell that 3rd hit, he was struggling. And he passes it over to Cody. And this shit was pressure. This shit was smoke. You know, sometimes weed will hit your lungs hard because it's not trimmed properly or it's dry. But this was not the case with this bud. This shit just hit your lungs hard because it was some gas, some heavy smoke, you know? I don't know what it is, but a lot of those Indica strains, in my opinion, they just fuck my lungs up every time. I don't know if it's placebo effect or what, But I feel like every time I roll up a blunt and put a bunch of indica, a really heavy indica strain in it, I'm just going crazy. I'm just going ballistic, right? So, either way. And listen, by the way, Purple Punch, it might be a hybrid. It probably is, considering Larry OG's in it. But listen, it's indica dominant as fuck. That's the same fucking thing, okay? If it's indica dominant, that shit's an indica. If it's sativa dominant, that shit's basically a sativa, right? But either way. So, we're chilling out. We're smoking this blunt. And it gets to Cody, and then it gets to me. And I'm chilling out, I'm taking my time, I'm smacking this blunt, and I pass it back to Jeff, and he's ready for round 2. And now, he's gotten a little more accustomed to the roughness of the smoke, and now he's tapping that blunt. And after the blunt leaves him and goes to Cody again, you can tell he's baked. By the time it left him a second time, this guy was stoned off his fucking rocker. You could see it in his eyes. This guy's eyes would get watery and bloodshot almost immediately. It was so funny. Like, you literally could take a picture of this guy and it would just be like a weed or one of those like those Dare advertisements with like a stoned kid on it. He would be a perfect poster child for that. But either way, he smacks his blunt, and this guy's fucking faded. This guy is lit, right? He's bussing. So we finish up this first blunt, and this guy is fiending for a McChicken. I don't know why, but this motherfucker's like, bro, we got to get our hands on some chicken right now. That shit sounds fire, bro. We got to get some sort of chicken dish right now. This guy just won't stop talking about it. I don't know what his thing was, but this motherfucker would love to get stoned and eat chicken. Whether it was wings or a sandwich, he didn't care, dude. Chicken was it. Pork, beef, fuck that. Hell no, dude. Chicken for sure. 100%. So, I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm down, Jeff. Let's go find some fucking chicken, bro. Let's make it happen. So, we're chilling out. We finish up this blunt. And Jeff gets up, and he's like, Cody, are you hungry? And he's like, nah, bro. I'm probably going to chill here and play 2K with my brother, right? So, I'm like, no problem, Jeff. Let's go run up and get let's find some food, dude. Let's go get some chicken. Let's just cruise real quick. So, he's like, bet. We go out to his car, and he drove this old, I think it was a Buick, I'm pretty sure. I just remember it being the shittiest car out of my friend group. Like, none of us had very nice cars, but holy shit, Jeff's car was a bucket, dude. Jeff's car was an absolute shit show. I would genuinely be shell-shocked if that car was still on the road today. I would be fucking amazed. I'd be so intrigued if that car was still moving. If the key even turned in the ignition at this point. But we get in this guy's death trap of a Buick, right? And it's filthy. This guy never cleaned his car. There's just fucking ash everywhere. There's so much garbage, dude. There's like paper. There's fast food bags. There's cups everywhere. There's empty packs of blunts. It's just a shit show in this guy's car. But we hop in and we start cruising through the neighborhood. And right outside of Cody's neighborhood is this McDonald's. So we pull up on this McDonald's and we get in the lot. And we're chilling. And I'm talking to Jeff. I'm like, Jeff, bro. Let's smack some chicken, dude. He's like, bro, I'm gonna get this McChicken. I'm going hard. I'm like, you know what? You got me on a chicken kick, dude. I'll get McChicken as well. I'm fucking with that. So we pull into the drive-thru line. And we get up and it's our turn to order. And this motherfucker places his order. And I don't know what it was. I didn't really catch what the McDonald's girl said to him, but he just started dying. I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I don't know. I didn't catch what this person said, but this motherfucker was crying when he was trying to place his order. He was like, can I get a McChicken? And they just couldn't stop laughing, bro. So I don't know if she asked something or what. He like placed his order and just started dying laughing, dude. So I had to place the rest of mine. And this is where it gets hectic. We place our order, and we pull up. And right in front of the first window that you pull up to pay is these little, like, safety barrier, pull things that are painted yellow. You guys have been to McDonald's. You've seen them. They're at every McDonald's. There's one of those right before the drive-thru window. And this motherfucker is looking down, I think he's trying to, like, grab his wallet. I don't know what he's doing. But the car's just rolling forwards after we get around this corner to pull up to this first window. And he just slams right into this fucking yellow, like, pole thing. And he looks up, and I'm not talking like he braked before. I'm talking like we hit this shit, bro. Like, we fucking smacked that pole. So we pull up, and it's just immediately, like, we get jerked forwards and then backwards, dude. And we're like, holy shit. And I look over, and Jeff is just like, he's just literally wide-eyed, mouth open. He's just like, oh my God. He's got his hand over his mouth. And luckily, there's no one in line behind us, so he throws it in reverse real quick and adjusts himself and then pulls up to the window. And I don't think the McDonald's person said anything. I don't think the girl said shit, right? But nevertheless, she gave us a filthy look, right? She gave us a dirty ass look that let us know she probably heard it. She definitely heard what, maybe she felt the impact. Who fucking knows, dude? We were stoned off our gullets off that fire purple punch. But we pay for our food. And listen, this is what makes me think she might have known, okay? She didn't directly say anything about it, thank fuck, because Jeff was tweeting, he's like, bro, we gotta leave, bro. Like, bro, they're gonna see, dude. And I'm like, dude, it's McDonald's. Like, I promise you, literally none of these people give a fuck, dude. Everyone in there is higher than us. Nobody fucking cares, all right? Just pull up, let's pay, we're good. But as we pull off from the window, he's like, oh, drive safe. Or the girl's like, drive safe. And I don't know what it was about that, but it just made Jeff tweet. He's just like, bro, they know. He's like, dude, they're gonna, like, they fucking know, dude. Like, they're gonna call the cops, bro. Like, we can't wait for our food, bro. We have to go. So this guy's trying to leave without our food, and I'm high as fuck. And I'm like, dude, Jeff, you can't leave, bro. Like, we have McChickens coming. You can't leave. Like, I'm sorry, dude. You have to wait. We have McChickens, we have fries, we have drinks. There's no chance you're leaving right now. So I'm sitting here, and I'm trying to calm him down, and we're at the window waiting for the person to bring us our food and drinks and shit, right? And we're just arguing about this without really giving a fuck about the fact that they could probably hear us talking about this the whole time. But either way, we get our food without incident, and then we go pull up into a parking spot at this McDonald's, which I found pretty funny because this motherfucker was tweaking about getting out like the cops were coming, and then as soon as we get out of line, this motherfucker goes and parks at the exact McDonald's that he thinks the police are en route to. I found that pretty funny. But either way, we hop out of his car and look, and there was pretty minor damage. Like, there was a little dent, but that's it. It really luckily barely missed his headlight. Like, he could have smashed his headlight in on this. But luckily, he just barely fucking missed it. It hit, like, just to the side of his headlight. And it was more so on the front, like, driver's side of the car, really, than the actual front end of the car. But either way, he get back in the car and he's like, bro, dude, you can't tell Cody about this. I'm like, why? And he's like, cuz later tonight, really, like, way later when I'm sober and shit, he's not going to let me drive home because he's going to think I'm fucked up. And I'm going to be like, I mean, okay, dude, I got you, dude. But how late are you staying? Because at this point, I just realized, like, well, this guy actually just crashed his car at McDonald's, so maybe he is actually too high to drive. But he's like, bro, I'm leaving mad late, which he did end up doing. So we go back to Cody's house, and we're fucking bussing. We got our McChickens. We're lit. This man bodies this McChicken. Listen, I'm a big dude. I can eat fast. This guy fucks this thing up, dude. Annihilates it. Straight shreds this McChicken. Maybe 3 bites. No, that's an exaggeration. Like 4 or 5 bites tops. Just shreds through that shit before I even got a chance to take a seat, dude. It was busting. This Indica had us on the munchies. Had this motherfucker crashing his car at McDonald's and then trying to escape. This was some of the most wonderful Indica that I ever smoked in my life. The purple punch with the Larry OG involved, dude. It was wonderful. But hey, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Drop a like if you did. We're getting long here, dude. We're going to stop it here. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.